My name is Ethan Carter, and if you ask my family what I am, they will probably say I'm the biggest disappointment they ever raised. I never needed strangers to tell me I wasn't enough. My own family handled that job every single day. "Dad, dinner smells great," I said as I walked into the dining room. My father barely looked at me. "You're late." It was only 5 minutes. 5 minutes become habits. That's why Ryan succeeds and you don't. Ryan leaned back with a grin. "Don't worry, Dad." Ethan was probably taking pictures of pigeons again. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile. "They weren't pigeons." "Oh," Ryan asked. "What was so important?" "A youth football match." My father sighed loudly. "Football again." "It's photography," I replied. "It's pretending to work." I looked at my mother. She quietly served more food. She didn't say a word. Dad pointed his fork at me. "Ryan closed another business deal today." Ryan smiled proudly. "It wasn't difficult." "That's because you understand responsibility," Dad said. "You'll run this family business one day." Then he looked at me. "And what will you run?" "My own photography career." Ryan laughed so hard he nearly spilled his drink. "You actually believe that?" "I do." Dad shook his head. "A camera isn't a career." "It can be. It's a hobby. It's my dream." He frowned. "Dreams don't pay bills." "They can." "They haven't." The table fell silent for a second before my aunt joined in. Ethan always was the creative one. Her smile wasn't kind. "It would be adorable if he were 12. More laughter. I stared at my plate. Ryan picked up my camera from the chair beside me. "So this is the famous machine." "Be careful," I said. "It's expensive." "Oh, I know." He turned it over in his hands. "An expensive toy." "It's not a toy. It looks like one." "It isn't." He handed it back with a shrug. "You could have invested that money in something useful." "I earned the money myself." "And wasted it." Dad nodded. "Exactly." I swallowed hard. "I don't ask any of you for money." "No," Dad answered. "You only ask us to believe in impossible dreams." "I only want a chance." "You've had chances." "I've never had support." Mom looked down at her plate. Dad didn't even notice. "Support is earned." "How?" "By succeeding." "How can I succeed if nobody believes I can?" Ryan smirked. "That's your problem." I looked around the table. Nobody defended me. Not my uncle. Not my aunt. Not my cousins. Not even Mom. Dad stood and raised his glass. "Here's to Ryan, the future of this family." Everyone cheered. I quietly drank water. Ryan looked at me. "You know what your problem is?" "What?" "You keep chasing football players instead of opportunity." "I'm chasing moments." "You sound ridiculous." "No, I sound passionate." "You sound unemployed." The room exploded with laughter again. Every laugh felt like another stone pressing against my chest. Dad finally sat back down. "Enough fantasy. Monday morning you're coming to the office." "I'm not." "You weren't asked." "I'm still not coming." His face hardened. "You'll regret throwing your life away." "I'd regret giving up even more." "You think pictures will make you successful?" "I hope they will." "I know they won't." Nobody challenged him. Nobody ever did. Dinner ended with conversations that didn't include me. I quietly picked up my camera and walked outside before anyone noticed. The cold air hurt less than the words inside. A familiar voice called behind me. "Ethan." I turned. Emily stood on the porch with her coat wrapped tightly around her. "You left without saying goodbye." "I don't think anyone cared." "I cared." I tried to smile. "It gets easier." "No," she said gently. "You just get better at hiding how much it hurts." I looked away. What if they're right? They're wrong. You didn't hear everything. I heard enough. I don't even know if I'm good. She stepped closer. "I've seen your photos. They're just pictures. They make people feel something. My family doesn't. Your family isn't the world. It feels like it." She smiled softly. "One day people will stand in line to see your work." I laughed quietly. That sounds impossible. So did every dream before someone achieved it. What if I fail? Then fail chasing your own dream, not someone else's. Her words settled deep inside me. For the first time that night, I breathed without feeling crushed. I won't quit, I whispered. I know. I'll prove them wrong. You will. As I walked home with my camera hanging from my shoulder, my family's laughter still echoed inside my head. It hurt. It followed every step. But beneath the pain, another voice had finally appeared. My own. And for the first time, I believed it just a little more than theirs. I woke before sunrise because dreams did not pay my rent. My alarm rang, and I whispered, "Another day. Don't quit." At breakfast, I cleared my throat. "Dad, can I ask you something?" He folded his newspaper. "What?" "I found a used camera lens. It's much cheaper than a new one. So, I've almost saved enough." He stared at me. "And I only need $500. He laughed once. "No, I'll pay you back." "No, it would help my work. It would help your fantasy." "It's not a fantasy. It has already wasted enough of your life." I looked at Mom. She quietly poured coffee. She never spoke. "I won't ask again," I said. "Good," Dad replied. "Ask for a job instead." Ryan walked in wearing an expensive suit. "Still begging for camera money?" "I'm asking for a loan." "Same thing." He smirked. "You should photograph weddings. At least people actually pay for those." "I'll find my own way." "You always say that." "I mean it." Dad pointed toward the door. "Then stop expecting this family to rescue you." "I never expected rescue." "Then prove it." I grabbed my bag and left before my frustration became anger. My mornings belonged to a grocery store. My afternoons belonged to a delivery company. My evenings belonged to photography. By night, every muscle ached, but I still carried my camera wherever I went. One afternoon, a local football club hired me to photograph a youth match. The payment barely covered gas. Rain started falling before kickoff. Parents complained. Players slipped across the muddy field. I sighed. So much for perfect lighting. An older man standing nearby chuckled. "Bad weather shows real photographers." I smiled politely. "I hope that's true." He lifted an expensive camera. "Most beginners blame the rain." "I blame my timing." Interesting answer. The match ended without excitement. I reviewed my pictures anyway. The older man walked over. "May I see them?" "Sure." He studied every image without speaking. I waited for criticism. Instead, he pointed at one photograph. "This boy missed the goal." "I know. You didn't photograph the miss." "I photographed his father reaching through the fence to encourage him." He looked at me. "Why?" "Because that was the real story." He smiled. "Exactly." My heartbeat quickened. "You really think so?" "I know so." He extended his hand. "I'm Daniel Hughes." "I'm Ethan Carter. I've photographed football for 35 years. I've seen your magazine covers." "You recognize my name?" "I studied your work." He laughed softly. "Then you're either dedicated or completely obsessed." "Probably both." He examined my old camera. "How long have you used this?" "Almost 6 years." "It has survived." "So have I." He smiled again. "Good answer." "I know it isn't impressive." "The camera isn't." I looked down. "I can't afford better." "I wasn't talking about the camera." "What do you mean?" "You have timing." I blinked. "And emotion." "I still have so much to learn." "Everyone does." He handed my camera back carefully. "Equipment can be bought." "I know. Instinct cannot." I stared at him. "Nobody has ever told me that." "I'm telling you now." His words felt heavier than praise. They felt real. He folded his arms. "Would you like to learn?" "From you?" "Yes." "I couldn't afford lessons." "I didn't ask about money." "I don't understand." "I need someone willing to work." "I'll work." "I mean harder than you've ever worked." "I already work 3 jobs." "I'm talking about discipline." "I'll do it." You haven't heard the conditions. I'm listening. You'll arrive early. I will. You'll leave last. I will. You'll accept criticism. I will. You'll never blame your equipment. I won't. And you'll never stop learning. I promise. He smiled. Then I'll mentor you. I could hardly breathe. Why me? Because talent without guidance gets lost. I won't. Daniel never let me settle for good enough. Every lesson felt like a test of my patience, my skill, and my heart. Again, he said, I already took 50 shots. Take 50 more. My hands are tired. Your hands don't create great photographs. Your eyes do. I raised my camera again. What am I missing? The story. I see players. I asked about the story. I watched the field carefully. A young goalkeeper missed an easy save. His teammates looked disappointed. His little sister ran from the sideline and hugged him before anyone else could. I pressed the shutter. Daniel smiled. What did you photograph? Hope. Exactly. I lowered my camera. You never wanted perfect pictures. I wanted honest ones. He nodded. People forget scores. They remember feelings. They always do. Weeks passed the same way. I worked all day, trained every evening, and edited photos late into every night. Sleep became a luxury. Giving up never became an option. One afternoon my phone rang while I was organizing pictures. Hello. Is this Ethan Carter? Yes. My name is Sophia Bennett. I froze. The sports journalist? She laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. I've read your articles for years. I've been looking at your photographs. My photographs? One in particular. Which one? The goalkeeper hugging his little sister. I smiled. That's my favorite. I can see why. My heart raced. Did I do something wrong? You did something right. I sat down. I don't understand. I'd like to meet you. When? Tomorrow afternoon. Where? I'll text the address. The next day I arrived 15 minutes early. Sophia greeted me with a warm smile. You look nervous. I've never met a journalist before. You'll survive. She placed my printed photograph on the table. Tell me why you took this. Because losing wasn't the real story. What was? Love. She studied me quietly. Most photographers chased the winning goal. I noticed. You chased the moment nobody else saw. I couldn't ignore it. She leaned forward. Good. What happens now? I have a question. I'm listening. Have you ever photographed an international event? No. Would you like to? I almost laughed. Of course. A charity football match is coming next week. I held my breath. Many famous players will attend. Really? She smiled. Cristiano Ronaldo will be there. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. You're serious? I wouldn't joke about that. I've dreamed about photographing him. You may get your chance. May? I can recommend one young photographer. And I chose you. My eyes filled with disbelief. Why me? Because your pictures have heart. I won't waste this. I don't think you will. I thanked her at least 5 times before leaving. That evening I walked into the house smiling. Ryan noticed immediately. Why do you look so happy? I have an opportunity. What kind? A charity football event. So? Cristiano Ronaldo will be there. Dad looked up from his chair. You actually believe they'll let you near someone like him? I have official access. Ryan laughed. I'll believe that when I see it. It's true. Sure. I ignored him and carried my camera bag upstairs. The night before the event, I checked everything carefully. My camera, my batteries, my memory cards, my lens. I stopped. The lens was gone. No. I searched my desk. Nothing. My closet. Nothing. Every drawer. Nothing. Panic tightened my chest. This can't be happening. I ran downstairs. Has anyone seen my camera lens? Dad barely looked up. No. Ryan shrugged. Maybe you lost it. I never lose my equipment. Maybe this time you did. I searched every room until midnight. Nothing. I sat on my bed, defeated. A soft knock came at my door. Ethan? It was Emily. I heard you shouting. My lens disappeared. She frowned. Show me your bag. I handed it to her. She looked inside carefully. Your zipper is damaged. I know. She reached into the inner lining. Wait. She pulled out the missing lens. I stared at it. How? It was hidden inside the torn fabric. I remembered Ryan touching my bag earlier. Anger burned inside me. Emily squeezed my arm. Don't let this ruin tomorrow. I almost missed everything. But you didn't. The next morning traffic felt endless. The stadium appeared just as the entrance gates started closing. Please wait, I shouted. A security guard checked my pass. Hurry. I ran through the gate, my camera bouncing against my shoulder. Inside, thousands of empty seats surrounded the brilliant green field waiting for history. I stopped for one deep breath. My family's laughter echoed inside my head. You're chasing fantasies. You'll never succeed. Photography isn't a real career. I tightened my grip on my camera. Not today, I whispered. Then I stepped onto the sideline, knowing one photograph could change my life forever. I stood beside photographers whose equipment probably cost more than everything I owned. First international event? A man beside me asked. Is it that obvious? You've checked your camera 10 times. I don't want anything to go wrong. He smiled. Relax. You'll miss the best moments if you're afraid. I'll remember that. I looked across the field. Volunteers hurried everywhere. Players warmed up. Reporters rehearsed introductions. My heartbeat refused to slow. Daniel walked over and stopped beside me. You made it. Barely. Good photographers always do. I'm nervous. That's normal. What if I fail? You won't. How can you be sure? Because you're looking at people instead of celebrities. I nodded slowly. I'll focus on the story. Exactly. The announcer asked everyone to prepare for kickoff. My camera felt heavier than ever. I whispered to myself, stay calm. A group of children entered the field wearing charity shirts. They smiled despite obvious fear. One little boy moved carefully with medical tubes hidden beneath his jacket. The crowd applauded warmly. I watched several photographers rush toward the famous players instead. Then Cristiano Ronaldo noticed the boy. He stopped walking. He knelt until they were face to face. The child looked overwhelmed. Ronaldo smiled gently. You ready, champion? The boy nodded. I've dreamed of meeting you. I'm happy we're finally meeting. The child began crying. I was afraid I wouldn't get here. You made it. Ronaldo placed both hands on the boy's shoulders. You're stronger than you think. The boy hugged him tightly. Everything around them disappeared inside my mind. I didn't think. I simply raised my camera. Click, click, click. Only 3 photographs. The moment lasted seconds. Then Ronaldo stood, held the child's hand, and walked toward the center circle. I lowered my camera slowly. Daniel leaned close. Did you get it? I think so. Good. The match finally began. Goals were scored. Fans celebrated. Players laughed. I kept taking pictures, but my thoughts kept returning to those 3 frames. After the final whistle, photographers hurried toward interviews. I stepped aside beneath the stadium tunnel. My hands trembled as I reviewed my images. The first photograph looked good. The second looked better. The third made me stop breathing. Ronaldo's eyes showed kindness. The child's face showed hope. Neither noticed the crowd behind them. It looked timeless. I whispered, this is it. A shadow fell across my screen. May I see? I looked up. Cristiano Ronaldo stood in front of me. My mouth refused to work. Yes, of course. I handed him the camera carefully. He studied the photograph without speaking. Several long seconds passed. Finally, he smiled. You took this? Yes. When? Before kickoff. He nodded slowly. You weren't chasing fame. I was chasing the moment. He looked at me again. Exactly. I could barely breathe. He showed the picture to one of the event organizers. Look, the organizer smiled immediately. Beautiful. Ronaldo handed the camera back. Do you have a printed copy? I can print one in the media room. I'll wait. You will. He laughed. I asked for it. I hurried inside faster than I had ever run. The printer seemed painfully slow. When the photograph finally appeared, I checked it twice before carrying it back. I hope you like it. He accepted the print carefully. For several quiet moments, he simply looked at it. Then he said, "This isn't about football. No, it's about hope. That's what I saw." He smiled again. You captured what football truly means. Those words echoed inside me. They mean everything. He borrowed a marker from a volunteer. What is your name? Ethan. He wrote across the bottom corner. Then he handed the photograph back. I looked down. It read, *to Ethan, never stop telling stories. Wishing you great success. Cristiano Ronaldo. *. My vision blurred. I don't know what to say. You already said it with your camera. I'll never forget this. I hope you don't. He shook my hand firmly. Keep working. I will. Keep believing. I promise. Then he walked away to greet more fans. I remained frozen. Daniel reached me moments later. What happened? I silently handed him the signed photograph. His eyes widened. He signed it. I nodded. He spoke to you? I nodded again. What did he say? I smiled through tears. He said I captured what football truly means. Daniel rested a hand on my shoulder. I told you that equipment doesn't create great photographers. I looked at the signature once more. For years I had begged my own family to believe in me. They laughed. They doubted. They looked past every effort I made. Yet one of the most respected athletes in the world had looked at my work for less than a minute and seen value in it. As I held that photograph against my chest, I realized something had changed forever. For the first time in my life, someone whose opinion carried weight across the world believed in me before my own family ever did. 3 days after the charity match, my phone refused to stop ringing. I answered another unknown number. Hello, Ethan Carter? Yes. This is Sophia Bennett. I smiled. Hi, Sophia. Have you seen today's article? Not yet. Open it. I searched online and found the headline. Young photographer captures the heart of football. Below it was my photograph of Cristiano Ronaldo comforting the young boy. I can't believe this. You should. You wrote all of this? I wrote the truth. My voice shook. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. What do you mean? People are already talking about your work. I never expected that. Get ready. For what? Everything is about to change. She ended the call. Before I could think, another number appeared. Hello. Am I speaking with Ethan Carter? Yes. My name is Oliver Grant. I know who you are. I collect historic football memorabilia. I've heard of your collection. I've also seen your photograph. I gripped my phone tighter. You have. I want to buy it. My heart skipped. I'm not sure it's for sale. I'll make an offer. I should at least hear it. I'll pay $100,000. Silence filled the room. Mr. Grant. Please call me Oliver. I think I heard you wrong. You didn't. For one photograph? For one unforgettable moment. I sat down slowly. I don't know what to say. Say you'll meet me. When? This afternoon. I'll be there. We met inside a quiet office overlooking the city. Oliver welcomed me warmly. I've wanted that photograph since I saw it. It means a lot to me. I understand. He studied me carefully. I have another proposal. I'm listening. I don't only want this photograph. You don't. I want your future work. I frowned. What do you mean? I want exclusive rights to your photography collections. I blinked. You're serious? Completely. Why would you trust someone so unknown? Because unknown artists become legends when someone believes early enough. His words reminded me of Daniel. I'll need time. Take it. He handed me a business card. My offer will remain open. I thanked him before leaving. By evening, the entire house somehow knew about the article. Dad waited in the living room. So, I looked at him carefully. So, I read about your photograph. You did. It was impressive. Those words sounded strange coming from him. Ryan smiled. I always knew you had talent. I stared at him. No, you didn't. I did. You called my camera an expensive toy. I was joking. It didn't feel like a joke. Dad cleared his throat. People say the photograph is valuable. It might be. How valuable? I received an offer. Ryan leaned forward. How much? $100,000. The room became silent. Mom covered her mouth. Dad blinked twice. For one picture? Yes. Ryan laughed nervously. That's incredible. I remembered every cruel word they had spoken. Now their voices sounded completely different. Dad smiled. You've made this family proud. I couldn't hide my disbelief. Really? Of course. A week ago you called photography childish. I may have been too harsh. Ryan clapped my shoulder. We should celebrate. We're family. I stepped away. I earned this alone. Ryan forced another smile. Exactly why you need someone with business experience. What are you saying? I can help negotiate your contracts. I don't need that. You'll make mistakes. I'll learn. Dad nodded. Ryan understands business. So does Oliver Grant. Who's Oliver? The collector. He offered more than money. What else? He wants exclusive rights to my future collections. Ryan's eyes widened. That's huge. I know. You should let me handle the paperwork. I won't. Why not? Because it's my career. Dad folded his arms. You should trust your brother. I trusted him before. And he laughed at my dream. Ryan sighed dramatically. You're still thinking about that? I remember everything. Mom finally spoke. Maybe everyone deserves another chance. I looked at her. Did anyone give me one? Nobody answered. The silence said enough. That night Emily called. I saw the article. You did. I'm proud of you. Things are getting strange. How? My family suddenly believes in me. She laughed softly. They believe in success. Not me. You finally see it. I wanted their support for years. And now it feels too late. It isn't too late to protect yourself. I don't want money changing everything. It already has. I looked at the signed photograph resting safely on my desk. The signature had not changed. I had not changed. Only the people around me had. For years they mocked every step I took toward my dream. Now they smiled because strangers placed a price on my work. As I ended the call, one truth settled deep inside me. Success could change how people treated me, could fill rooms with praise instead of laughter. But it could never erase the words they had spoken when they believed I would never become anyone worth believing in. The signed photograph rested inside a protective case on my desk, yet somehow it had become the center of every conversation in my house. Dad knocked once before opening my door. We need to talk. I nodded. What about? The photograph. I expected that. He sat across from me. You've been offered $100,000. I have. You should accept. I haven't decided. He frowned. Why wait? Because it means more than money. It could help this family. How? We need new equipment for the business. I stared at him. So that's why you're here. I'm thinking about everyone's future. What about mine? This is your future. No. He sighed impatiently. You're finally in a position to become useful. His words stung. I thought I already was. Not financially. I've worked every day. You've chased dreams. I've built a career. Ryan walked into the room without knocking. Dad's right. I folded my arms. Nobody invited you. I'm trying to help. Help yourself. He ignored the comment. If you sell now, you'll have cash. I know. We can invest together. We're brothers. I looked straight at him. Were you my brother when you mocked my dream? You still remember that? I remember everything. Dad stood. Enough. Think logically. I am. The photograph is paper. No. It has value. It has meaning. He shook his head. Meaning doesn't earn profits. It earned my future. Neither of them understood. After they left, my phone rang. Hello. Ethan, it's Emily. I needed to hear your voice. You sound exhausted. I feel trapped. What happened? They want me to sell the photograph. And what do you want? I don't know. Yes, you do. I just wish they understood. They don't see the photograph. What do they see? The money. I closed my eyes. I waited years for their support. They're supporting your bank account. Her words hurt because they were true. You fought for that moment alone, she continued. Mostly. Don't let anyone rewrite your story. I won't. You don't owe anyone proof anymore. After the call, I visited Daniel's studio. He noticed my expression immediately. Heavy thoughts. My family wants me to sell the photograph. And you? I feel guilty for refusing. He poured 2 cups of coffee. Tell me something. I'm listening. What did Ronaldo actually give you? A signature. No. I thought carefully. Belief. Exactly. Daniel smiled. Some victories are worth more than wealth. I keep reminding myself. If you sell because you choose to, that's fine. And if I sell because they're pressuring me, you'll regret it. I think you're right. He placed a hand on my shoulder. Protect what reminds you who you became. I thanked him and returned home. As I entered the living room, raised voices stopped. Dad looked surprised. We were discussing you. I guessed. Ryan stood quickly. I already spoke with Oliver. Every muscle in my body tightened. You what? I called him. You had no right. I was negotiating. You weren't asked. I improved the offer. My anger exploded. You went behind my back? I was helping. You were controlling. Dad stepped between us. Ryan only wanted the best. The best for who? For all of us. I looked at my father. Did you know? He hesitated. Yes. The answer hit harder than I expected. You both planned this. We're family. No. Dad frowned. What does that mean? Family supports dreams before they become valuable. Silence filled the room. I continued. Where were you when I worked 3 jobs? Nobody answered. Where were you when everyone laughed at me? Ryan looked away. Where were you when I begged for one chance? Mom quietly entered the room. Ethan. I raised my hand gently. Please let me finish. She nodded. I carried every insult with me. I looked at Dad. You called my dream childish. Then at Ryan. You called my camera a toy. Finally at Mom. You said nothing. Tears filled her eyes. I was afraid. I was alone. Dad spoke softly. We made mistakes. You made choices. Ryan stepped forward. We can still fix this. I shook my head. No. What are you saying? I'm keeping the photograph. Dad's voice hardened. Think carefully. I already have. You'll regret it. I'd regret selling it for the wrong reason. The room erupted. Dad shouted. Ryan argued. Mom cried. For the first time in my life, I didn't back down. I picked up the photograph and held it close. This isn't for sale. Nobody spoke. My dream survived every insult you gave me. I looked each of them in the eyes. You couldn't destroy it then. I took one steady breath. And you won't buy it now. The silence that followed felt louder than every argument we had ever shared. And I finally understood that protecting my dream meant risking the family I had spent my entire life trying to please. 2 months passed, and my life changed faster than I could understand. One morning my phone rang. Good news, Sophia said. I'm listening. An international sports magazine wants to license your charity photographs. I smiled. Seriously. They loved your work. I don't know what to say. Say yes. I already am. She laughed. I knew you would. Before I ended the call, another message appeared. It was from Oliver. Can we meet today? I have a new proposal. Asterisk asterisk. I replied immediately, yes. That afternoon we met again. Oliver shook my hand. You've been busy. I've been trying. You've done much more than try. He placed a folder on the table. I'd like to sign you to a long-term agreement. I opened it carefully. What kind of agreement? My company wants exclusive access to your future photography collections. For how long? 5 years. I looked through the pages. This is incredible. It also includes funding for your own studio. I stared at him. My own studio? And your own company. My hands trembled. I've dreamed about this. I know. How? I invest in people before the world realizes their value. I smiled. I won't disappoint you. I don't believe you will. We signed the agreement together. As I left the office, I realized my future no longer depended on anyone else's permission. When I reached home, the atmosphere felt strangely quiet. Dad sat alone in the living room. He looked older than I remembered. Ethan, what's wrong? He rubbed his forehead. The business is struggling. I remained silent. He continued. We lost several major clients. I'm sorry to hear that. He looked away. Ryan made some investments. Were they bad? They were disastrous. Before I could answer, Ryan stormed into the room. They weren't my fault. Dad stood. You ignored every warning. The market changed. You gambled company money. I took risks. You hid the losses. I was trying to recover them. Dad's shoulders slumped. You only made everything worse. Ryan pointed at him. You approved everything. I trusted you. You should have trusted me more. I watched quietly. For years Ryan had blamed me for everything. Now he blamed everyone except himself. That evening relatives filled the house. The same people who once laughed at my dreams suddenly greeted me warmly. My aunt smiled. Ethan, you've done wonderfully. Thank you. My uncle cleared his throat. We were wondering something. What? Could you help your father? I looked at him. Help how? The business needs support. Another relative added, you have successful contracts now. I understood immediately. They wanted my money, not my advice, not my forgiveness, only my success. Dad finally spoke. I need to tell you something. Everyone became quiet. I spent years believing Ryan could do no wrong. Ryan frowned. Dad. He continued anyway. I praised him. He looked at me. And I ignored you. I didn't interrupt. I thought success looked like confidence. His voice cracked. I never saw quiet determination. The room remained silent. He sighed deeply. I trusted the wrong son. Ryan exploded. So now this is my fault? Dad answered firmly. Yes. You encouraged me. I did. You approved every decision. I also ignored every warning. Ryan laughed bitterly. Unbelievable. He grabbed his coat. If this family wants someone to blame, find another person. He slammed the door behind him. Nobody followed. Later that night, Emily met me outside. I heard everything. So did half the neighborhood. She smiled sadly. How do you feel? I expected this moment for years. And it doesn't feel the way I imagined. Why? I thought their apology would heal everything. It can't erase the past. I know. She squeezed my hand. You don't need their approval anymore. I looked toward the house. I think you're right. The next morning I unlocked the doors to my new photography studio for the first time. The empty rooms echoed with possibility. I whispered, "This is really mine." Daniel walked in carrying a small box. I brought a gift. What is it? My first camera strap. I smiled. You kept it all these years? I was waiting for the right photographer. I don't deserve this. You earned it. I held the worn leather strap carefully. It reminds me where I started. Daniel nodded. Never forget that. I won't. As sunlight filled the studio windows, I looked around at the future I had built with stubborn hope, endless work, and people who believed in me before success arrived. For years, I had measured my worth by my family's opinions. Now I finally understood something they had never taught me. Real value wasn't created by praise. It wasn't destroyed by rejection. It grew every time I refused to quit. For the first time in my life, I didn't need my family's approval to know exactly who I was. And that quiet realization felt greater than every contract, every photograph, and every dream I had chased until then. A week after opening my studio, Mom called me. "Ethan, can you come home?" I hesitated. "Why?" "We need to talk." "Is Dad sick?" "No." "Is Ryan hurt?" "No." "Then what is it?" "Please." Something in her voice made it impossible to refuse. When I arrived, the house felt unusually quiet. Dad sat near the window. Mom stood beside him. Neither smiled. I remained near the door. "You wanted to see me?" Dad nodded. "We owe you the truth." I crossed my arms. "I'm listening." Mom took a slow breath. "I've carried something for years." "What?" "I always knew you were talented." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "I saw your photographs." "You never said that." "I know." "Why?" She lowered her eyes. "I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Your father." I looked at Dad. Mom continued speaking before he could answer. "Every time I tried to defend your dream, we argued. You never told me. I thought staying quiet would keep peace inside the family." I felt my chest tighten. "So you chose silence." Tears filled her eyes. "Yes. I needed one person." "I know. I kept waiting." "I'm sorry." Her apology sounded sincere. Still hurt, I looked at Dad. "Did you know?" He shook his head slowly. "No." "You never noticed?" "I was too stubborn." I laughed bitterly. "That's one way to describe it." He stood. "I spent years believing success only looked one way. And now I know I was wrong." The room became silent. Finally I spoke. "I can forgive mistakes." They both looked hopeful. "But silence leaves scars." Mom covered her face and cried quietly. I walked outside before my emotions overwhelmed me. Emily was waiting beside my car. "I thought you might need company." "You know me too well." She smiled gently. "How did it go?" "My mother admitted she believed in me all along." "That should feel good." "It doesn't." "Why?" "Because she never said anything when I needed her." Emily nodded. "That pain is real. I don't know how to let it go." "You don't have to forget." "I can't." "But you don't have to carry it forever." I looked toward the house. "They stole years from me. They don't get to steal your future too." Her words stayed with me. The following morning I visited Daniel. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he asked quietly, "What is forgiveness?" "I don't know anymore." "It isn't pretending nothing happened." "Then what is it?" "It's something you give yourself." I frowned. "Not them." "No. I always thought forgiveness was for the person who caused pain." Daniel smiled. "No. It's freedom." "I never thought about it that way. If you keep carrying yesterday, tomorrow becomes too heavy." Before I could answer, someone knocked on the studio door. Ryan walked inside. He looked exhausted. "I need to talk." Daniel quietly stepped outside. Ryan avoided my eyes. "I lost almost everything." I waited. "The investments failed." "I heard. I owe people money." "I'm sorry." He looked surprised. "That's all." "What else do you expect?" "I need help." "Financial help?" He nodded slowly. "You've done well." "I've worked hard." "I know." He finally looked at me. "Please." I studied his face. For the first time, arrogance had disappeared. Only fear remained. "I betrayed you." "You did." "I mocked your dream." "You did." "I hid your lens." "I know." His shoulders dropped. "You knew." "I figured it out." "I'm sorry." The words sounded honest. I stayed silent. "You could save me." "I probably could." "Will you?" I remembered every insult, every lonely night, every moment I questioned my worth. Then I remembered Emily's words, Daniel's advice, my own promise to become someone better. I took a slow breath. I'll help. Ryan stared at me. You will? Yes. His eyes widened. Why? Because I refuse to become the person you expected me to be. Relief washed across his face. But listen carefully. I'm listening. I'll help you rebuild your life. He nodded quickly. I won't pay your debts. His expression changed. What? I'll help you find honest work. You have money. I earned it. I need cash. You need responsibility. He looked disappointed. I thought you forgave me. I did. Then why won't you save me? Because forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. He lowered his head. I understand. I hope you do. As Ryan walked away without another argument, I realized my answer had surprised everyone, including me. I had chosen compassion without surrender, mercy without weakness, forgiveness without forgetting. For the first time, I understood that true strength wasn't proving I could destroy someone who had hurt me. It was proving that their choices would never again control the person I chose to become. A month passed after Ryan left my studio, and life finally became quieter. Then Dad called again. Ethan, could you come over? I'll be there. When I arrived, several documents covered the dining room table. Dad looked tired. We're losing the house. I pulled out a chair. Tell me everything. The business debts caught up with us. Mom quietly wiped her eyes. We've tried everything. I studied the papers carefully. The amount isn't impossible. Dad looked ashamed. I hate asking. You've never asked me for help before. I know. I took a deep breath. I'll pay what's needed to save the house. Mom began crying. Dad stared at me. You will? Yes. Relief spread across both their faces. Then I added, but I have one condition. Dad nodded immediately. Anything. This house stays in your names. It will. And my money won't go toward the business. He lowered his head. I understand. I'm protecting both of us. You've become wiser than I ever was. A quiet knock interrupted us. Ryan stepped inside. I heard Ethan was here. Dad frowned. What do you want? Ryan looked at me. I hoped you'd changed your mind. I haven't. The creditors won't wait. I'm sorry. You could solve everything today. I already told you. I need money. You need accountability. He shook his head. You're choosing revenge. No. I'm choosing boundaries. There isn't a difference. There is. I stood. I'm saving Mom and Dad's home. And leaving me with nothing. I'm leaving you with a chance to rebuild honestly. Ryan laughed bitterly. You really think that's enough? It has to be. He looked around the room before walking away without another word. The front door closed softly. Dad sighed. I created this. You did. I kept rescuing Ryan. I know. I almost lost both my sons. I looked at him quietly. You never lost me. I pushed you away. You did. He walked toward me slowly. I owe you something. You don't owe me money. I owe you the truth. I waited. I treated you like a failure. His voice shook. I compared you to Ryan every chance I had. I nodded. I remember. I thought criticism would make you stronger. It made me lonely. Tears filled his eyes. I'm sorry. The room stayed silent for several seconds. Finally, I answered. I believe you're sincere. I am. I appreciate hearing those words. Hope appeared in his expression. But some wounds don't disappear overnight. He nodded sadly. I understand. I need time. I'll wait. For the first time, his patience felt genuine. Later that evening, Emily visited my studio. I heard your parents are keeping their home. They are. You did the right thing. I hope so. She smiled. You know what I admire most? What? You never became bitter. I almost did. But you didn't. I looked at her. I couldn't have done this without you. She laughed softly. I only reminded you who you already were. You did much more. Silence settled between us. She finally spoke. Ethan? Yes. I've wanted to tell you something for years. My heart raced. I'm listening. I love you. Everything around me seemed to stop. You do. She smiled nervously. I always have. I stepped closer. I was afraid to say it. Why? I thought losing our friendship would hurt too much. She laughed through happy tears. I felt exactly the same. I gently took her hand. I love you too. She wrapped her arms around me. For the first time in years, the future felt lighter than the past. The next morning, Daniel stopped by the studio. He looked around proudly. You've built something special. I couldn't have done it without you. He smiled. That's no longer true. What do you mean? You don't need me anymore. I'll always need your advice. You'll always have it. He pointed toward the photographs covering the walls. But you already became the photographer you wanted to be. His words filled me with quiet gratitude. I hope I've made you proud. You did that a long time ago. After he left, I stood alone inside my studio, surrounded by images that told stories of hope, courage, heartbreak, and second chances. I thought about every cruel word I had carried for so many years. Instead of anger, I felt understanding. Instead of bitterness, I felt gratitude. My past had shaped me without defining me. My family's mistakes no longer controlled my future. As sunlight poured through the windows, I realized peace had arrived so quietly that I almost missed it. This time, unlike every dream before it, I wasn't chasing approval. I was simply living the life I had fought to earn, surrounded by people who loved me for who I truly was. 5 years passed faster than I ever imagined. On the morning of my first international photography exhibition, I unlocked the gallery doors before anyone else arrived. Emily smiled beside me. Nervous? A little. You've done this before. Not like this. She squeezed my hand. You'll be wonderful. I looked around the gallery. Photographs covered every wall. Each one represented a different chapter of my journey. At the center stood one framed image beneath soft lights. The photograph of Cristiano Ronaldo comforting the young boy. The signature remained exactly where he had written it. Emily noticed me staring. You still love that one most. I always will. It isn't your most valuable photograph anymore. I know. So why place it in the center? Because everything started there. Guests slowly filled the gallery. Some admired landscapes. Others studied football photographs. Many eventually stopped before the signed picture. A young visitor approached me. Excuse me. Yes. Did you really take this? I did. It's beautiful. Thank you. What makes it so special? I smiled. It reminds me that kindness can change someone's life. He nodded thoughtfully before walking away. Soon a reporter stepped forward. May I ask a question? Of course. What inspired your career? I looked toward the photograph. Rejection. She blinked. Really? I spent years trying to earn my family's approval. And I never did. So what changed? Someone I had never met believed in my work. She glanced at the signature. Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes. Did his signature make you successful? I smiled. No. What did it do? It reminded me to believe in myself. She thanked me before joining the crowd. A familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. Ethan. I turned. Dad and Mom stood quietly near the entrance. Neither expected a warm welcome. Neither demanded anything. Dad smiled gently. We almost didn't come. I'm glad you did. Mom looked around the gallery. You've built something beautiful. Thank you. Dad kept his hands in his pockets. We're proud of you. The words felt different now. Not because I needed them, because they were finally honest. I appreciate that. He nodded. We don't expect forgiveness. I know. We only wanted you to know we're grateful. I do. Mom hugged me carefully. Thank you for giving us another chance. We're still learning. So are we. They quietly moved through the gallery without asking for attention. Near the back wall, I noticed Ryan. He stood alone. He didn't come closer. He simply looked at the photographs. After several minutes, our eyes met. He gave me a small nod. I returned it. Nothing more needed to be said. Some lessons arrive too late. Daniel appeared carrying his old camera bag. I wouldn't miss this. I smiled. You made it. I had to see what my student accomplished. I laughed. I'm still learning. We all are. He looked around proudly. You've surpassed every lesson I ever taught. I only followed your example. No. You found your own voice. Sophia joined us moments later. I see the crowds keep growing. They do. She smiled. I knew they would. I shook her hand warmly. You changed my life with one phone call. You changed it yourself. Emily slipped her hand into mine. You have people waiting for your speech. I nodded. Let's do it. I stood before the visitors. Thank you all for coming. The room became quiet. When I began taking photographs, many people told me I would fail. Several guests listened closely. I believed them for far too long. I pointed toward the signed photograph. That picture isn't here because it's the most expensive. It represents the moment someone believed in me before I believed in myself. I looked at Emily. One friend refused to let me quit. Then Daniel. One mentor taught me to see stories instead of trophies. Then Sophia. One journalist opened a door nobody else could see. I smiled toward my parents. And even painful chapters can become part of a better ending. Applause filled the gallery. As the evening ended, I stood alone before the signed photograph one final time. The signature had never created my future. My determination had. My choices had. The signature simply reminded me that one person's belief could outweigh a lifetime of doubt. I smiled at my reflection in the glass. For years I thought success meant proving my family wrong. Now I finally understood the greater truth. I had never needed to earn the right to believe in myself. I had always been enough. With that quiet realization warming my heart, I turned off the gallery lights, walked into the night beside Emily, and stepped confidently toward every tomorrow that was still waiting for me.